Preparations are underway to elect Pope Francis's successor. Cardinals arrived at the Vatican this morning ahead of next week's conclave.
The giving of the name to John the Baptist, and people asked, what?
Preparations are underway to elect Pope Francis's successor. Cardinals arrived at the Vatican this morning ahead of next week's conclave. Pope Francis is gone, and the Catholic Church must soon appoint a new pope. Many are qualified, but an ancient prophecy might offer a surprising clue. The College of Cardinals set Wednesday, May 7th as the start date to elect the next pope. Today, the Vatican released video of workers installing the stove at the Sistine Chapel where the ballots will be burned during the conclave. Some believe Nostradamus, the famous 16th-century prophet, predicted the rise of a pope from the east with a slightly darker complexion, pointing to Luis Antonio Tagle. About two-thirds of Nostradamus's prophecies have already come to fruition. That's why people keep looking to them for truth. Could a vision from centuries ago really guide the church today? Or are people simply reading too much into old words? Join us as we look into what Nostradamus predicted for Luis Antonio Tagle. On April 21, 2025, news broke that shook the entire Catholic world. Pope Francis had died after suffering complications from a severe respiratory infection. He had been battling the illness for weeks but passed away quietly in the Apostolic Palace at the age of 88. Pope Francis, head of the Catholic Church and sovereign of the Vatican City-State, has died aged 88. His death triggered an immediate outpouring of grief. World leaders, religious figures, and millions of ordinary people around the world mourned him, praising his life of humility, compassion, and reform. As we go to where history is unfolding in Rome, the funeral for Pope Francis is underway, with presidents, prime ministers, and royalty all converging on St. Peter's Basilica. Just hours after the news, all eyes turn toward the next big question: who will be the next pope? When will this pope be appointed? Stay tuned, the most interesting part is still ahead. The College of Cardinals quickly announced that a conclave would be convened in a matter of days. Discussions about possible successors began immediately. As usual, names of several well-known cardinals surfaced, but one figure stood out more than most: Luis Antonio Tagle, a cardinal from the Philippines. At the same time, an old name also resurfaced: Nostradamus. Though Nostradamus lived in the 16th century, many believe he predicted world events long before they happened. His prophecies are written in cryptic poetic language. People have interpreted them in many ways. One of his most chilling predictions speaks about a black pope, a pope of darker skin or possibly from outside Europe, whose reign would coincide with major troubles for the church and even its destruction. With Pope Francis gone and an election coming, many started connecting Nostradamus's words with Luis Antonio Tagle. Born in Manila in 1957, Tagle is Asian, Filipino, and has mixed Chinese ancestry. He has long been seen as a potential future pope. His humility, charisma, and deep theological background have earned him respect not only in Asia but across the global Catholic community. My dear brothers and sisters, we thank our God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the God who is love, for gathering us as a family of faith. Over the years, he served as Archbishop of Manila and later became the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, a major role in the Vatican that deals with missionary work around the world. Now, Nostradamus's words seemed more alive than ever. The prophecy, as interpreted by many, talks about a time when the church would be led by a black pope, black either because of his race, his order such as the Jesuits known for their black cassocks, or because he would come from outside the traditional centers of power. It mentions that during his reign the Vatican would face deep crises and that this time would mark the end of an era for the Church. Many people originally thought the prophecy pointed to Pope Francis because he was the first Jesuit pope. But now, with a new election ahead and an Asian front-runner like Tagle, others began to wonder if Nostradamus was pointing even further into the future. Tagle fits the description in some striking ways. First, he is non-European, coming from a region that has long been considered on the margins of Catholic power. Second, the Church in Asia, and especially the Philippines, represents a growing part of Catholicism's future. With the faith declining in Europe and North America but booming in places like Africa and Asia, many believe that electing a pope from these regions would be a natural and necessary step. Tagle also carries the image of a reformer much like Pope Francis. His leadership style is humble and approachable. He speaks often about caring for the poor, welcoming migrants, and building a church that listens to the suffering. These themes resonate deeply with the challenges the church is facing today. Still, some fear what Nostradamus warned. If Tagle were elected, would his papacy also bring turmoil? Would the challenges that Nostradamus hinted at, scandals, conflicts, even destruction, come to pass? Already, the Vatican is facing difficult times. Financial scandals have not fully gone away. Cases of abuse continue to surface, damaging the Church's credibility. There is deep division inside the Catholic community over issues like the rights of communities marginalized based on orientation, women's roles, and interfaith dialogue. Some conservative groups have warned that the next pope could either heal or further divide the Church. If Tagle becomes pope, he would inherit these battles. His leadership could either fulfill the darker side of Nostradamus' warning or help prevent it. But what exactly did Nostradamus say? One of the quatrains, short 4-line verses he wrote, is often cited. It talks about a man of dark complexion who will take the highest office of the Church. The prophecy warns of the great ruin of the sacred house during his time. Some translations also suggest that during his rule there would be wars and deep internal struggles within the Church. Of course, Nostradamus' writings are famously vague. He never used specific names or dates. Much of the interpretation is based on guesswork, and different people read different meanings into his words. But history shows that every time there is uncertainty, people look to Nostradamus for answers, however unclear they may be. Luis Antonio Tagle's life so far has been filled with moments that seem to line up with parts of the prophecy. He rose quickly through the church ranks. He has built bridges across cultures. He has also faced tough criticisms from conservatives, much like Pope Francis did. His Asian identity brings a new face to the leadership of a historically Eurocentric church. His soft-spoken but firm style reminds people of prophets, calm in voice but strong in conviction. As the conclave approaches, Tagle is among the top candidates. Betting markets and Vatican watchers have listed him as a leading contender. The race for Pope Francis's successor, Nostradamus, Prophecy, and the Cardinal's favorites. Preparations are now underway for the election of Pope Francis's successor. Cardinals arrived at the Vatican this morning, gathering ahead of the conclave set to begin on Wednesday, May 7th. The historic Sistine Chapel is being readied, including the installation of the stove where the ballots will be burned, sending up white or black smoke to signal the outcome. With Pope Francis's passing on April 21st, at the age of 88 after battling a severe respiratory infection, the Catholic world mourns a leader known for humility, compassion, and reform. But as the world reflects, all eyes turn to the future. Who will lead the Church next? Among the top contenders is Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle of the Philippines, a figure who has long been seen as a possible future pope. Tagle's Asian heritage, humble leadership style, and deep theological insight have earned him respect not only in Asia but worldwide. If elected, he would be the first Asian pope in modern times, symbolizing the shifting center of Catholicism from Europe to the global south, a monumental change for the Church. Adding a layer of intrigue to the election is an ancient prophecy by Nostradamus, the 16th-century French seer. Many believe Nostradamus predicted the rise of a dark pope, a pope with a darker complexion or from outside Europe, whose reign would coincide with significant trials and tribulations for the Church. While many initially thought this described Pope Francis, who was the first Jesuit pope, speculation now focuses on Tagle. Tagle fits Nostradamus' cryptic description in several ways. He is non-European, coming from a region where Catholicism is growing rapidly. He is known for his humility and reform-minded approach, and he carries the hopes of millions of Catholics, especially young people, for a church that addresses migration, poverty, and inequality. However, the prophecy's warnings of turmoil and even destruction cast a shadow over the election. The Vatican faces ongoing financial scandals, abuse cases, and deep divisions on issues such as LGBTQ+ rights, women's roles, and interfaith dialogue. Whether Tagle's papacy would bring renewal or further struggle remains an open question. Besides Tagle, several other cardinals are seen as serious contenders. Cardinal Peter Turkson of Ghana, respected for his work on climate change and justice but considered by some as perhaps too old for the evolving Church. Cardinal Robert Serra of Guinea, a conservative voice with traditional teachings appealing to those wary of rapid change. Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo of Congo, younger and charismatic, focused on justice and peace amid conflict but less experienced in Vatican politics. Cardinal Malcolm Ranjit of Sri Lanka, another traditionalist whose support may be limited among those seeking continuity with Francis's reforms. Despite other candidates fitting parts of the Dark Pope image, Tagle's combination of global recognition, Vatican experience, and pastoral style make him stand out. Who was Nostradamus? To understand the prophecy, we must look at Nostradamus himself. Born Michel de Nostradame on December 14, 1503, in southern France, he was trained as a physician but later turned to astrology and occult studies. In 1555, he published Les Prophecies, a book of 942 four-line poems, quatrains, that supposedly foretold future events. Nostradamus's writings are famously cryptic, mixing French, Latin, Greek, and Occitan with symbolic language and metaphors. Over the centuries, his prophecies have been reinterpreted many times to fit major events like wars, natural disasters, and political upheaval. One of the quatrains often linked to the Dark Pope speaks of a leader from the East, of darker complexion, who will face great internal struggles and external conflicts, marking a turbulent time for the Church. The significance of Tagle's candidacy. Luis Antonio Tagle's life and career reflect many elements of this prophecy. He rose rapidly in the Church hierarchy. He bridges cultures and continents, embodying the Church's global diversity. He is respected for his calm, firm leadership amid controversy. He focuses on themes of care for the poor, migrants, and marginalized communities. Cardinals admire his multilingualism, his understanding of global issues, and his ability to connect with young people. Many see him as a hopeful symbol of renewal, even as Nostradamus's prophecy reminds us that the road ahead may be difficult. Conclusion. As the conclave approaches, millions watch with anticipation. Will Luis Antonio Tagle become the first Asian pope in modern times? Will his leadership herald a new era of reform and healing? Or will the warnings of Nostradamus come to pass, ushering in an era of turmoil and challenge for the Catholic Church? Only time will tell. For now, the world waits, caught between ancient prophecy and modern hope, as history prepares to unfold beneath the vaulted ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Nostradamus, the man behind the prophecies and their legacy. One of the most famous examples cited in support of Nostradamus's prophetic abilities is the death of King Henry II of France. In 1559, during a jousting tournament, the king was fatally wounded when a lance pierced his eye and brain. Nostradamus's quatrain described a young lion defeating an older one by a wound to the eye, a chillingly accurate detail that supporters say proves his foresight. Critics, however, note that violent jousting deaths were common in that era, making this a less convincing prediction. Many of Nostradamus's other supposed predictions have been linked to major historical events. Some claim he foresaw the French Revolution, pointing to verses about the fall of the powerful and the rise of common people. But these descriptions are vague and could apply to many revolutions across history. The rise of Napoleon Bonaparte is often associated with Nostradamus's writings about an emperor from a region near Italy who would wreak havoc across Europe. Yet, the absence of specific names or dates means these lines are open to interpretation. Perhaps the most controversial connection is between Nostradamus and Adolf Hitler. One quatrain mentions the word Hister, which some interpret as a misspelling or code for Hitler. However, Hister was actually a historical name for the Danube River. The quatrain describes a cruel leader, but there is no definitive proof it refers to Hitler specifically. The September 11th attacks are another event often falsely linked to Nostradamus. Many quotes attributed to him post 9/11 were either fabricated or taken wildly out of context. Nostradamus never mentioned airplanes, skyscrapers, or New York. Many of his quatrains reference natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, and fires, events that recur regularly throughout history, making it easy to connect these verses to multiple catastrophes. Scholars emphasize that Nostradamus's quatrains are not precise forecasts but intentionally cryptic, poetic puzzles. They rarely include clear dates or unambiguous names, which allows readers to reinterpret them repeatedly to fit current events. His method combined astrology, historical patterns, and observations of human nature. Nostradamus believed that by understanding cycles in history and celestial movements, one could predict future trends. Yet his approach was intuitive, not scientific, shaped by the tumultuous 16th-century Europe of wars, plagues, religious conflicts, and political instability. He himself admitted that clarity in his prophecies would be dangerous. Writing clearly risked accusations of sorcery or political interference, which could have led to severe punishment. Thus, his prophecies were coded and symbolic. During his lifetime, Nostradamus gained fame and was consulted by several European rulers, including Catherine de' Medici, Queen Consort of King Henry II of France, who sought his advice on horoscopes and state affairs. Over the centuries, his reputation grew, especially in the 17th and 18th centuries, when people sought prophetic guidance in times of crisis. Today, Nostradamus remains culturally significant because his writings invite endless reinterpretation. They act as mirrors reflecting the fears and hopes of each generation. Regarding the papacy, Nostradamus is often cited as predicting upheaval in the Church's leadership, the fall of powerful religious figures or schisms. The prophecy about a dark one rising to lead the Church has been interpreted in various ways. Some take dark literally, as skin tone or origin, others see it as symbolic of a leader emerging amid troubled times or bringing dramatic change. The ambiguity fuels speculation. Complicating matters are numerous forged or misattributed prophecies, created over the centuries to serve political or religious agendas. These fabrications blur the line between Nostradamus's authentic writings and later interpretations. Importantly, Nostradamus never claimed infallibility. His prophesies present possibilities, not certainties. Even in his own time, opinions about him were divided. Some saw a wise seer, others a charlatan. Modern historians and skeptics tend to view Nostradamus as a clever writer capturing the anxieties of his era rather than a true prophet. His enduring appeal lies in his ability to speak to humanity's desire for meaning amid chaos. Whether the prophecy of a dark-skinned pope will come true remains uncertain. Like many of Nostradamus's predictions, it may only appear clear after the fact, if at all. Nostradamus reminds us that in times of uncertainty, people seek meaning, even when certainty is out of reach. So was Nostradamus truly a prophet, or simply a poetic visionary ahead of his time? And could Luis Antonio Tagle really be the next pope the world has been waiting for? Only history will tell.